With the media still not over McLaren's controversial team orders, Lando Norris fanned the flames by revealing that their so-called Papaya rules might be more legend than reality. But is there any truth to his claims? And if so, why come clean now? Let's get to the bottom of it. The term Papaya rules made headlines at the Italian Grand Prix when McLaren instructed Oscar Piastri to hand back second place to Norris after a slow pit stop, caused by a stubborn wheel nut, dropped him behind the championship leader. The decision stirred controversy, and naturally the team moved to defend its actions. Team principal Andrea Stella said, "However the championship goes, what's important is that the championship runs within the principles and the racing values that we have at McLaren, and that we have created together with our drivers. This is what we did, and this is what we think is in compliance with our principles." These guiding principles are often referred to as McLaren's Papaya rules. The nickname emerged last season as Norris and Piastri battled for the chance to challenge Max Verstappen for the title. McLaren CEO Zak Brown summarized them simply: race each other respectfully, give each other enough room, and don't touch each other. But after Sunday's dramatic team orders left Norris booed on the podium, questions resurfaced about those very Papaya rules. Speaking to DAZN, Norris clarified, "There are no Papaya rules anymore. We've never had them." When pressed on whether the document went by another name, he added, "Yes, it's not even a page long, actually. The important thing is it says fair. And this covers many things. Fairness for me and for Oscar. I don't choose that these things happen. We don't care what's happened in the past, but we do what we think is right for us." In Monza, what made sense to McLaren was essentially restoring the running order to what it had been before Norris's 5.9-second pit stop hiccup. Reflecting on that brief but crucial pause, he revealed, "You think about a lot of things. It feels like a long time, even if it's short, but it's something outside my control. I can't do anything about it. It's not what I want, nor what the team wants. It makes things complicated, and complicated the positions. But it's what we all as a team, both drivers decided was the right thing to do if it happened. It had to be corrected. If it had happened to Oscar, we would have done exactly the same." Piastri, for his part, initially made his case to race engineer Tom Stallard, but ultimately complied when asked a second time. Now he insists it was the right call. "I think for the long term it was the best decision," he said. "Lando has been ahead of me all weekend, and I understand the decision, and that's why I did the swap almost immediately. We still have things to discuss, but for me there was no problem. This had been discussed already, yes. It's something we've debated about what we'd do in this situation, but we still need to clarify it more." In response to the incident, the godfather of Formula One has voiced what many have suspected about Oscar Piastri's title bid against Lando Norris. Former F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone has openly questioned McLaren about the Australians' World Championship hopes for 2025. The 24-year-old Aussie has been blistering this season for McLaren, holding a 31-point lead over teammate Norris in the drivers' standings. With 7 wins and 14 podiums to his name, compared to Norris's 5 victories and 13 podiums, Piastri has driven a dominant campaign for the Woking-based squad. Yet whispers have grown louder that McLaren might secretly favour the Englishman when it comes to this year's crown. Ecclestone seems convinced that the team's preferences are becoming increasingly obvious. "They talk about fairness all the time," he told Blick. "But is it fair for Piastri if he is punished for a mistake made by the team?" Number. You slowly get the feeling that McLaren prefers a world champion named Lando Norris. Mistakes such as missed pit stops or engine damage, as well as suspension breaks, have become rarer, but they are part of the sport. Not everyone agrees, though. Former F1 driver and current commentator Martin Brundle, who has occasionally been accused of showing a touch of homegrown favoritism toward Norris, struck a different tone, insisting that McLaren acted correctly during their controversial decision in Italy. "I believe that was the right thing to do all round, as happened in reverse in Hungary last year," he wrote in a column for Sky F1. If Norris had, for example, run long in his stop and scattered his mechanics, or it had simply been a slow stop, then that's the way the cookie crumbles. But there were a number of aspects to this scenario, including prior discussions and agreements. The cohesion of this team is what's making it so dominant this season, and both drivers are smart enough to realize that for both now and into the future. Don't judge either of them for playing the team game. All the other teams on the grid would kill to have two great drivers working in tandem for the good of the team like this, while also racing the wheels off the cars and doing their best to beat each other. At least Piastri did gain the advantage of now being in Norris's DRS rear wing open range, but Norris continued to have the pace. While Bernie Ecclestone has no qualms about weighing in on drivers' fortunes, he's just as blunt when it comes to team bosses. McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown recently got a front row seat to just how unfiltered Ecclestone can be. In Ecclestone's view, Brown may not be very talented, and he didn't mince words telling the American that directly. Yet, there's one crucial skill he does admire: Brown's knack for surrounding himself with the right people, a strategy that has helped McLaren climb back into title contention. Ecclestone sees Piastri and Norris as hitting the jackpot by racing for such a competitive team, and he didn't shy away from sharing his blunt assessment with Brown himself. But after delivering the tough talk, he also offered some well-earned praise. Speaking to Sport.d, Ecclestone had this to say about McLaren's driver duo. You can see how lucky these guys are to be in the right team at the right time. There were certainly some drivers who were better than today's drivers, but who never had the chance to show their strengths to anyone. Zak Brown is doing a very good job. I recently said to him, because I've known him for a long time, I don't think you're very talented, but one of your talents is that you choose the right people to work for you. He has the right people around him, and he keeps them together. The people at McLaren are doing a good job. Ecclestone's take on Brown's leadership shows just how closely the world's former F1 chief watches McLaren's inner workings. That scrutiny isn't limited to Ecclestone alone. Others in the paddock are also asking whether McLaren has a long-term plan for handling tense title battles. On his YouTube livestream, veteran journalist Peter Windsor raised precisely that question, wondering if Zak Brown has a strategy for when the championship fight tightens even further. He said, "The days of Oscar giving positions away to Lando, you can't expect Oscar or Lando to keep doing that as the championship battle tightens. You've got to win at all costs in F1. McLaren are already preparing one of them, or both of them, for not winning the championship and how they're going to handle it. Which is pathetic. If you've got two racing drivers who are very high quality and are going to be head-to-head, you can't start saying that to them. It's going to be bad for one of them for whoever loses. All this glad and happy stuff will eventually come crashing down. What is Zak's plan for handling it all? He doesn't have one quite clearly. What's your take on the Papaya rule situation? Do you feel like it's only ever being enforced when it benefits Lando Norris? Let's argue in the comments below, and if you haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest in Formula One. Thanks for watching.